So this is Tactics Teen Tentacles, and these are our roles. I'm Elliot Williams, the producer and level/UI designer.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm Josh Glover. I'm the programmer for this game, or at least a programmer.
And there's also Elliot Walker, who's not with us today, but he does a lot of the 2D and 3D art for the game. As we said in our pitch originally, we would not be sticking totally with our individual roles. We would sort of move around and all sort of take a chunk of the work. So for the game overview, we are set on the planet Mars, where you play as a Martian as a part of the town that they live in Mars. And during the day, they are informed that the space redcoats are coming to invade their world. So the player then must spend the money they have on equipment to then aid them in what they are going to experience. When the night does come and the redcoats invade, the player must navigate the environment and using the items they have to help escape to the spaceport and flee their home. So for our target audience, we're looking at all genders, mainly at sci-fi and people who enjoy the stealth game. Mainly 7+ because we're a very stylized, cartoony style, and we're basing our visual style on a lot of like sci-fi comics, and we've gone for a cell shader to really enhance the visuals of our game. So these are our inspirations. A lot of these are stealth games that we've taken a lot of inspiration from, but also the style and looks of a lot of older films and very popular films. Likewise for the art style, looking into these 1950s comics, weird alien looks, and also just like retrofuturism and how we can sort of embrace styles of that.
Okay, so this is our main gameplay, which is the entire game is split into two phases. The first phase being based on looking around the town, and you go around interacting with the world, seeing how it is, purchasing items and such. That'll be in the second phase, which is the nighttime phase. And the nighttime phase is where the redcoats have basically invaded, and you're now trying to find a way to get out of the town. And some of the tools at your disposal is sprinting, invisibility that we gave the Martian. You can craft items which you find around, and all while doing this, you have to avoid the redcoats, which are basically walking around trying to find you. And there are a couple endings which we'll go into later. And can you change slide it, Elliot? This was our original. I can hear myself. This was our original keyboard layout, which was very simple. We split the pickup items and takedowns because we had takedowns in mind for this game, which I believe we actually decided against later on. And so basically, you can pick up items, drop them, sprint and crouch as you see here, and move around WASD since it's the most natural for a game. And if you go into the next slide, it's changed into this because as the game went on, we found some mechanics more to our liking. And we even started we added F just so we can actually pick up some key items and separate it from normal items because it gives a good distinction for the player. And that's if.
So this was our original sketches for our aliens that the other Elliot did. These are brilliant. I love these so much. But one of the feedbacks we were given was considering that we had redcoats inside it, the red of the Martians would really clash with each other. So we revised this design and we turned them into blue aliens just to have them stand out a lot more. And then for the game, we then created a little 3D Martian using the cell shader for him. Likewise for the redcoats, this was their original look. But then we talked a lot about them being in space, the atmosphere of Mars, and then decided for a more like an old diver's suit, and sort of they would use that as an astronaut suit instead because it allows them to breathe. It's like they've come straight out of history. They're not like modern. These are straight from when redcoats were around, which then we translated into our model as well, with the cell shader as well. So for the level design, we wanted to keep it. It was very sort of grid-like, basing it around as well being Mars being sort of like the desert planet Tatooine, sort of filming it around Mos Eisley, um, and having significant places that would allow for the player to find items, do different things that would give them options to do in the next phase. But as we developed, actually working on the product, we changed the level to look more like this. This is from in-engine. It's less of a grid. This allows for the player to sort of catch things in their eyesight and move around more, look around the environment a lot more.
Okay, so these are some of our planned endings, which were for obviously how you escape, and we have a main ending where you craft a what's it called, a lockpick.
Sorry to interrupt, folks. You've got 3 minutes left.
Okay, so we have a main ending where you craft a lockpick to escape, and this is our main goal because any other endings, realistically, while good, they won't suffice for the main one. But we do have some other ones like sneaking around, trying to find an escape. We have a spaceport one where you blow up the spaceport to escape. We even have a Mars monkey one where you let out some Mars monkeys and some havoc ensues. We have quite a few, as you can see here. I won't go over all of them since we're limited on time. But yeah, we have a lot of ways to escape, and this gives us a lot of replayability for the players, especially. Back to you, Elliot.
This was our original roadmap, which we've stuck very close to. We've followed the phases as we should. We've also been developing our meeting log as we've gone. We've also in the alpha phase developed a basic prototype for the level layout and everything we originally planned, and then as we've gone on, we've slowly enhanced these additions. And for the asset list, this was the original one we had, which I later went and redid a lot, figured out a lot of the dates, and we've stuck to it as best we can. We have ignored some elements, but we've also kept up with a lot of them. We focus a lot on what we found to take precedent over a lot of them, and then work backwards onto things we've skipped over to move ahead with. With the rest of the time, I'm going to just run through the project as quickly as I can. Let me just this one. So this is our main menu that I put together last night, enhanced it a little bit. It used to be just this big dark area. In the actual level itself, why? Oh, there we go. One of the new additions, we've included a mini map now to help the player get around the level a lot more. As you can see, we have the sprinting with left shift control for the invisibility. On our mini map as well, we have icons to show NPCs that are around. The cantina is over there. I will just run through things as quickly as I can. The spaceport as well. From the market, you can purchase items, you can see information about them, how much they cost, the credits. The options are that you can buy individual pieces, which are cheaper, or you can buy the actual item itself. Then the player, depending on what they buy, can look inside their inventory and see that the menu inside the inventory, they can see all the items, read about them, learn about them, see how much they own. Like I just bought the lockpick, I now own one. Tells you a bit more. The player can also see the different methods and sort of a little description and what it requires to follow them through. We have a map in here as well, a more larger map to sort of get to understand the environment. I'm not sure if you can see it on the screen, but there is a timer. Oh, yeah, you can. Which the player, once it runs out, would be taken into the next phase, or the player can choose to just start it themselves from their home. This level hasn't got as is not the same. This is more the original layout as the day one, because they're exactly the same. We haven't duplicated the level because we don't want to have to keep duplicating it as we add more and more to each level. So at the moment it's very bare. As you just saw there, this is the red coat, which on the mini map shows up as red. When the player is invisible like this, the red coat completely ignores them. If not, he will start chasing. If you go invisible, he will stop chasing. With the recent addition of some of the key items and how they work,
I'm gonna have to cut you guys off, I'm afraid. We're gonna a couple
Okay.
minutes over your time just to have a look. But I think if you are at this kind of stage in development, then it's really important. And I know you haven't had long to plan, but it's really important that we get to this point as quickly as possible. I think we were about 9 minutes through your presentation before we even looked at the game. So definitely think about when you're presenting. Have a think about, even if you're using an older deck, what you can cut out, what do we need to know to get a feel for the game, and then once we're in the game in engine, we can get a feel for a lot of what we might have spent a little bit longer on the presentation before you had the work done. And I would always recommend, and again, this is more advice for the next time you present and for general presenting, to do a pre-recorded video rather than a kind of live demo, because so much more can go wrong in a live demo. Thankfully, it went all right. And as I said, I know you didn't have so long to plan, so I totally understand why you didn't. But definitely, when you're developing, you want to record some of the key features as and when you implement them, and then you can cut them together into a nice video rather than kind of panicking, going, "Oh my god, I can't find the right enemy," or "This hasn't spawned," or "Something has gone wrong."
Yeah, annoyingly, I worked on something like that last night, and I didn't know this was happening, so I got it saved on my home computer.
Yeah, that's always the way, though, and I can see that the work's gone into it, and you did present it well. The game did run properly, so thankfully we haven't had to worry about that too much. But certainly, it just makes your life a little bit easier as and when you come to present. Steph, what did you think?
I mean, that's technically very impressive as a project. You have a lot of different mechanics that function perfectly in that. You've got invisibility, you've got market stalls. It looks like you've done a lot of custom assets as well in that. So like you've not just kind of worked on the technical side of it and used assets, you've literally covered all of the game in your design and development, which for a project of the scope is very impressive. You've really thought about things like the level design, the grid-like nature of it, how America is entirely based on that grid system, and it really shows a level of thinking about the player and their experience beyond your kind of design goals for the project. Loved the team breakdown, really helps me understand who's making it, and what kind of skills are needed there. And also that you understand the nature of indie development, which is collaboration and swapping roles and wearing many hats, which is brilliant. I think it fits the brief really well. I do have some feedback in terms of the brief mentions the kind of positive impact of migration and kind of what unites us. And I think that would be really great to understand the wider project goals and how it kind of provides this positive spin that the charity is looking for. Having a kind of budget and a scope for the full project as well will help support what the client was looking for in terms of having a slice to then have a development team take that slice, and the client will be provided specialist knowledge of the industry from you guys to then be able to find a development team to kind of then continue that project. Is your asset list up to date? Because there was a lot of red in there, but then the game is very finished. So make sure
that image on there was an older one. We
Cool.
do have, like I say, a more updated, a more expanded one that we did like not long after we did that one.
So yeah, just make sure you're updating your slides as you're kind of rediscussing the project. Little details, and you have this in your game, but little details add a lot of quality to what you're doing. I have this kind of, I always say game development is like pizza, less is more. And I think you guys have got less in terms of mechanics and the game kind of size. You're not making a huge open world thing, but what you've got is quality. You've got polish, you've got lovely little custom assets in your marketplace that really show a consistent kind of art approach. I think a little bit more guidance for players would be helpful in your slice. You've kind of mentioned you go home, but how do we know where your home is? Is there a bigger map? Is there a kind of quest or a logbook that guides the player on where they should be going and what they're doing? Or is there, you know, an arrow on the map that's going, go this way? Minimap is also very zoomed in as well. I feel like I'm the kind of player where I run first and I ask questions later. And I'm sure I'd run into quite a lot of redcoats by just kind of sprinting and then not seeing them on the minimap. So I think that would be my advice, would be to kind of think about the player experience, walk through a day or a level in the life of the player and what they're doing and maybe what other things are needed, alongside going back to the client brief and thinking about other little bits that your client might need for you to fulfill the brief. Good work.
Yeah. I see a lot of the development since the last time we looked at the project. I see that the progress you've made, and I absolutely, more than anything else, feel the charm of the game, the art style. I know that when we saw Mars Attacked, Psycho Gorman, and some of the other references that you were pulling from, Sam and I got quite excited because we both really love those kind of franchises, and it's come through. There is so much charm, so much personality. There's a kind of real Rayman vibe to the fact that, you know, the head's wobbling about. Like, I love it. There's so many things that layer on top of each other to make something really engaging for a player. So take that as you develop, and just, I think what you're doing now already is sort of refining that player experience. And if you continue down that path without thinking, right, we're going to add another 10 mechanics, I think you'll be great. So just keep the scope in check, because scope creep is so easy to happen. It happens all the time to everyone, no matter how good your producer is. But if you keep it focused, you're going to do really, really well on this project. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. So yeah, you guys pass your bits of kit over to, I think, Rose and Amy. Tom, you've already got yours, yeah? Cool. The other guys will start getting in the call. Yeah, with that team as well, there's they do have a submitted version of their alpha prototypes, which I assumed they would all use, but I think they're all going for live showcases because they made a bit more progress since.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
Can you make sure Elliot hears how great his art is, by the way?
Oh yes, he gets it every day.
It's phenomenal. And then the translation from the concepting into the modeling.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I would buy a
it's his
3D
first time
printed
animating
version
as
of
well.
that. Is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's first time animating characters, so he picked up Blender in its own time a little bit, and I think it was the run was a happy accident. I told them they should keep it because it's very endearing. It fits like the cartoony, daft, like Looney Tunes almost.
Yeah.
Charm of it. They've started to do. They're working really cleverly actually. Do you know the 3D challenge that we did back in November? So,
yeah.
They're getting the first years and themselves on board with their version from the previous year.
Oh wow!
And reusing assets from those guys and themselves and the other teams to kind of create the Star Wars like sky traffic system as well. So when you look up, there's a bit of stuff happening.
That's awesome.
And they've duplicated the alien character as well and made all these like NPC variants. And there's a child version, and they've all got they're now making like these funny headwear accessories. So I don't know if you saw that there was a child in the live demo he did. He ran past a child and he had a little helicopter hat on and carrying a lollipop, and they're doing all these little weird wacky stuff instead of doing the main thing. But again, like they're getting carried away with all the charm of it and really enjoying it. So who might say no?
Little details like that make such a difference. Someone was telling me their favorite thing about Baldur's Gate 3 is the cabbage guy who's in there from Airbender, I think.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've never heard of Cabbage Guy, and he's so famous. And they were like, and it just made the game for me, that little cabbage reference.
It's very quirky in the same sense of like Astrobots and like Ape Escape, even like Spyro almost in a sense. You've got all these other little like other characters, like wacky characters that you don't necessarily do much with, but they're there.
It almost feels like it came out sort of 10 years ago, maybe longer. It's really well pitched.